Para business leaders dan intellectual business community, kita lanjutkan dalam segmen keempat, segmen terakhir dari topik kita hari ini, Is Yours a Learning Organizations. Masih bersama narasumber kita, Jens Reis dari Allianz dan rekan-rekan dari intellectual business community. Oke, tadi Pak Adi sudah menyinggung tentang knowledge management. Pak Adi, knowledge management by definition adalah practices to identify, create, represent, distribute, and enable adoptions of knowledge dalam company. Jadi kalau kita tadi lihat ada 3 building blocks. Satu adalah environment-nya, kedua adalah process and practice of knowledge sharing, ya. Kemudian yang ketiga adalah leadership behavior that supports that. Sebenarnya knowledge management ini masuk ke dalam building blocks yang kedua, ya. Bagaimana membuat knowledge sharing itu menjadi satu proses dan praktis yang nyata di dalam perusahaan. Dan pada zaman IT ini, dengan adanya IT yang canggih, knowledge management ini bisa sangat terbantu dengan IT. In fact, IT merupakan jiwa yang sangat penting di dalam maintaining knowledge management ini. Ya. That's why knowledge management dan learning organization merupakan satu atau dua hal yang saling berkaitan yang tidak bisa dipisahkan. Karena tentunya knowledge management merupakan building blocks, salah satu building blocks dari learning organizations. Ya. So, Jens, we know that again, you emphasis that the most important thing you said was number 1 and number 3. Yeah, the environment and the leadership. But actually, number 2 is also very important. Is the knowledge management. How far have Allianz built the knowledge management? I mean, knowledge management not only the practice and process, but also needs the infrastructure to enable it. Otherwise, people may spend too much time to share knowledge, you know, to do activities while they can do it while working through the knowledge management process. They can learn while working. Yeah. So how far is the knowledge management in Allianz in supporting to learning organization?
I mean, for us, we have defined knowledge management actually as innovation. So we believe basically if people share knowledge, we always try to think in how can we do things better. We have established now a worldwide initiative called I2S, Ideas to Success. And for every training, for every get-together, we always give people time to think about innovation. We also, I think, not only encourage but reward innovation in Allianz relatively highly. So the most innovator can travel overseas, all the way to Munich. We have basically the whole community in Allianz, whether you are in sales, whether you work in the head office, whether you work in the branches elsewhere. We want to have a certain minimum participation rate, and we give a target to all management levels to implement also ideas.
All right.
So this is, I think, let's say, for us, the greatest and the most valuable knowledge management tool we keep. I think all the other parts is basically usually in books. If it's not in books, of course, it's a lot in people's mind. But if we believe we encourage the people to think about innovation, how can we do things better? How can we basically think customer-centric? We are guiding this process by giving questions, and we have basically innovation days. We have various, I think, campaigns to encourage people.
So you give the rewards to person, not the team.
We give the rewards to the idea generator, and we give also the reward to teams if they implement the idea.
All right. So, I mean, if the idea generator is rewarded based on personal basis, might be that people are not too willing to share their knowledge because then somebody else can steal my knowledge and get some idea and to become the winner, because I myself want to win in the competitions. Don't you think that better to give rewards on team basis?
Well, I think both is there's no right and no wrong. I think both is needed. You need, I think, a strong team spirit, and you need an open culture where I think sharing ideas. Imagine, I think the most sensitive area for us is if I give an idea to another department team. So this is basically where, by nature, another department team would say, not our idea, not good. Maybe we don't implement it.
Right.
So in this case, of course, we have to create the environment that everybody says, thank you, terima kasih banyak for all ideas generated. and we must give reward to all teams if they implement the idea.
Right.
So I think that is the balance act, and I think I can only encourage from the experience. I think these ideas to success campaign, by involving, by the way, also customers. If you go to our website today, if you read communication, even clients can contribute. So I think to make everybody aware that innovation for us is a key element, and the university is one important tool to generate it anyway further.
Oke, mungkin from audience ada yang ingin memberikan pertanyaan atau komentar atau pendapat, silakan Pak Albert Kuhon.
Baik. Banyak contoh yang sebenarnya sudah disebut, ada Citibank, kemudian ada Astra, ada TVRI yang TVRI itu adalah cikal bakal semua TV di Indonesia. Sejumlah orangnya itu hijrah ke TV swasta, tapi TVRI-nya tetap eksis. Ada RRI. Ada
RRI, ada Pak Parli Hadi tadi, kemana nih Pak Parli Hadi tadi?
Banyak yang lain seperti Kompas. Orang-orang Kompas, wartawan itu tersebar di mana-mana. Kemudian menularkan pemahaman yang ada di Kompas pada lingkungannya, tapi Kompas tetap eksis. Tempo juga begitu. Ada hal yang barangkali bisa kita pelajari, bahwa selain learning dan sistem knowledge management yang ada di lembaga-lembaga itu, barangkali lembaga-lembaga itu juga memiliki kemampuan adaptasi. Contoh, ada orang-orang yang tercabut dari sana, tetap saja sistemnya mampu beradaptasi. Dan yang kedua, sistem yang ada di lembaga-lembaga itu ternyata sudah prepare atau punya preparasi, bersiaga terhadap kemungkinan-kemungkinan terburuknya. Sehingga ketika sejumlah orang hengkang dari Tempo membentuk majalah editor, membentuk majalah-majalah lain, tetap saja Temponya eksis, tidak terganggu. Ada gangguan sedikit, turmoil, tapi tetap bisa maju, tidak mengalami krisis. Lalu barangkali kita perlu meredefinisikan lagi bahwa tujuan perusahaan adalah mencari profit, bukan learning. Kalau learning terus tidak ada profitnya, bagus juga. Tapi saya sependapat dengan apa yang dikatakan oleh dia, yaitu barangkali kita perlu mengassess, meneliti the training needs, kebutuhan apa buat training apa yang kita perlukan buat memperbaiki organisasi kita atau memperbaiki kinerja perusahaan kita. Tetapi barangkali ada sejumlah lembaga yang masih memikirkan apa iya training itu kita perlukan. Do we need the training? Itu barangkali perusahaan yang ada di Indonesia.
Baik.
Pada saat ini. Itu aja. Terima kasih.
Baik, terima kasih Pak Albert. Jadi tentang sistem adaptasi dan bagaimana perusahaan itu bisa survive setelah orang-orang yang keluar itu, saya kira banyak faktor juga ya, karena again some competitive advantage ada pada orang-orangnya, ada some competitive advantage ada di company-nya. Misalnya kalau perusahaannya memang kondisi keuangannya solid dan besar, orangnya keluar uangnya masih banyak gitu ya. Ataupun memang organizational capabilities-nya masih bagus ya, reputasinya misalnya. Tempo misalnya udah lama, jadi orang mau bikin majalah baru orang juga nggak kenal. Kompas yang paling besar asetnya mungkin namanya gitu ya, reputasinya begitu lama sehingga orang-orang yang keluar mau bikin koran lain juga, yang lain koran mau pasang iklan gratis, Kompas nggak bisa tawar, harus bayar gitu ya. Nah jadi orang atau komponen orang itu merupakan komponen yang penting, tapi bukan satu-satunya mungkin dalam competitive advantage dari perusahaan ya. But satu hal yang menarik yang Pak Albert Kuhon katakan, dan saya juga ingin tanyakan kepada Allianz ya, bahwa pada dasarnya apapun yang dilakukan oleh perusahaan itu pada akhirnya for the sake of the company, either itu buat growth of the company, survivability of the company, maupun profitability dari company ya. Profitability company salah satunya Pak ya, bisa juga masalah survivability atau developmentnya juga ya. Nah for Allianz, yes, what result you want to see in the bottom line of Allianz while doing this learning organizations? I mean, as Pak Albert Kuhon said, that one of the measure, of course, that we want also is the bottom line. Yeah. What do you want to see in the bottom line?
I mean, it's very clear. Allianz, before we started the university, we already had training. So our aim actually is not to cut expenses by doing the university, because you can imagine when you have various sales channels and employees and everybody does training, that you would say if you coordinate it, you would have some saving. The saving part was not our intention by forming this university. Our intention was to get a more coordinated approach and also to have a few new aspects which we want to achieve. In this Allianz community today, we want to achieve that people speak the same language and also are Allianz promoters, promote Allianz to their families, to their communities, and are proud of working in Allianz.
Maybe the bottom line. So
the bottom line is, of course, we have determined clear goals. We have also clear budgets. We have now established a KPI factor where we try to have a medium view on training.
All right.
So today we have a database. We are training every year 5,000 agents, example, all over Indonesia.
I see.
Every name comes now in our system, and we will review their sales success and their recruitment success in their franchise business over a period of time.
All right. So you want to see the revenue will increase by doing this.
So this is the sales part. On the employee side, a very important part for us was what we call multitasking.
All right.
We want to achieve that also people, let's say, are not stuck and are not forever doing only one and the same job, but they are able on a horizontal career path to get
job
enlargement
and job satisfaction.
Correct, yeah.
Oke, para business leaders dan intellectual business community, karena waktu kita harus menyelesaikan diskusi kita hari ini. Is yours a learning organizations? As a summary, kita bisa katakan bahwa learning organizations merupakan next level dari perusahaan yang sudah melakukan homeworknya, prosesnya sudah benar dan segala macam. Dan ini adalah salah satu cara suatu organisasi untuk tidak pontang-panting ataupun goyang pada saat orang-orangnya keluar, key persons-nya keluar. Tentunya problemnya adalah bagaimana kita bisa keep the key person supaya jangan keluar, tetapi tetap saja bahwa kalau key persons keluar, kita tetap bisa stabil, tetap apa yang mereka pelajari, apa experience-nya, tetap stay in the perusahaan, walaupun tetap untuk sukses, much more than the knowledge, tetapi juga masih banyak aset yang lain yang penting, reputasi, keuangan, maupun banyak hal lain. Tetapi tentunya yang paling juga penting adalah orang, di mana orang itu pentingnya di dalam knowledge and skill-nya. Ya. Nah, karena itu buat para CEO yang menonton acara ini, bila Anda ingin membangun learning organizations, itu adalah satu hal yang baik sekali untuk dimulai. Apapun langkahnya, mulailah ke sana. Apakah target Anda 3 tahun, 5 tahun, terserah Anda sesuai dengan kemampuan Anda. Oke, dengan demikian kita akhiri CEO reference kita kali ini berjudul Is Yours Learning Organization berdasarkan Harvard Business Review bulan Maret tahun 2008. Kita ucapkan terima kasih kepada Jens Ries, CEO dari Allianz, sebagai narasumber dari diskusi kita hari ini, dan juga pada rekan-rekan intellectual business community. Kita beri tepuk tangan.